Друзья, всем привет! Меня зовут Tavarish, и сегодня мы будем вытаскивать мотор из моего любимого дешевого Bentley. И если смотрится, как будто я испуган это делать, скорее всего, это так. Я боюсь. Alright guys, since this car is getting some major surgery, I wanted to make sure it wasn't getting nervous before going under the knife. So I decided to talk in a language that I would probably understand since it's spent 10 years in Russia. Actually, now that I think about it, spending 10 years in Russia is why it's broken in the first place. Alright, never mind. If you're new to the channel, thank you so much for watching. I hope you like it because we're doing a lot of work in this episode because this, my $11,000 Bentley, is finally going under the knife and we are taking this motor out. And we're doing it from the bottom because that's the only way it's gonna go. If you've missed any part of the Bentley series, and I have not posted videos in a while, then you can watch the playlist up above or link down below. Watch the first 3 videos so you can see how we went from this to this. The reason why we're changing the engine in the first place is because one side has low compression. I don't know what that's from. Maybe it's timing, maybe it's burnt valves, maybe it's just a vacuum leak and I haven't checked it. It doesn't matter. I have another engine ready to go in and we're just gonna change everything along the way. I wanna level with you guys here. I don't know what I'm doing, so if I miss a step or if I do something wrong, feel free to point it out in the comments and I will read it after I've already messed up. So, good? So for those of you unfamiliar with what a Bentley engine looks like, then take a gander at this. Ooh, that's a heavy hood. Here she is. That is a dirty engine. This is a 6-liter W12 with twin turbos. It's supposed to make around 550 horsepower. Right now it doesn't make any of those horsepower because one side has low compression. Probably. I haven't done a compression check, but it definitely runs like crap. The car just started doing this weird thing. Now it's like gasping for air. The ABS light just went on for no reason. And it's really struggling to rev. Oh man, yep, so the light comes on at low RPMs. Maybe that's an electrical problem, but oh my god, this car is haunted. So instead of trying to fix this engine, which I probably could do, but that would involve me having to take the engine out, rebuild it, and then put it back in, I'm just gonna put another engine from a low mileage car that I got from Ferrparts, a company that I've been working with for a while. They provided the shell for my Ferrari F355 project, and they provided this Bentley engine, well, at least one that's way better condition than this one. So it's gonna be out with the old and in with the new, except there's gonna be a million steps in between. All right, now I kind of get why mechanics might charge 30 hours of labor just to do an engine swap in this car. It is not easy. But we have everything taken off of the top of the engine. We have the harness right here off to the side, and I found some issues that may have contributed to the bad running of this car. If you take a look down here, let me see if I can put this right there. So this is the MAF plug. And it's a little bit melty. I don't think that it's supposed to be like that. And it's, well, I don't think the car is running right without a MAF on one side of the engine. Also, if you take a look over here, look at those wires. They're a little bit past it. There's some fraying going on. There's some bare metal I can see. Yeah, that's not looking very good. In addition, there's a bunch of stuff that's just broken. This vacuum hose right here, just broken. A bunch of stuff was disconnected. I'm not sure when it was disconnected. I definitely didn't do it, but there's a lot of stuff just not connected. I guess if somebody was putting this back together, you would forget a few things. But if you take a look over here, you'll see that the electrical connections are actually very corroded. And when you don't have a good metal to metal connection, you can have a lot of screwy things going on in the ECU. Take a look over here. Oh, that is a horrible connection. So all that is gonna get cleaned up. And also these ECUs probably are going bye-bye because I have new ECUs with the new engine. So I gotta take those out. But before that, I am going to get underneath the car so we can take all that stuff out, and then hopefully the engine drops out. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you one removed engine. Actually, it's an engine and transmission. This is called the power unit if you're using Bentley's nomenclature, but this is on the ground, sorta, and the car's in the air, and the two have separated ways. They are now divorced, no longer married. I'm a little bit loopy because this took like 4 days, and it's mostly because I didn't know what I was doing, and there are a lot of things you have to take off. I mean, just take a look at the density of wires and hoses and clamps, and most of them are broken, most of them are not in great shape. We're definitely going to do something about that with the new engine, and I'm going to have to go over everything on this engine and also the car. We're probably going to do a little bit of an update maybe tomorrow or maybe the next day, and I'll show you exactly what's wrong with everything here and all the really botched jobs that were performed on this car throughout the years. When you do something like this, usually when you take out the subframe from a car, you want to make sure that everything is free and clear. And on this car, it was just impossible to tell. And I was getting hung up on these two guys right here. These are actually some hydraulic lines, I believe for the transmission cooler or something. They might be for power steering. I know that they're hydraulic, they're not oil. But yeah, they were basically holding the entire engine up, and they didn't break, so they're really good quality lines. But then the rest of it was a little bit more, let's just say, challenging. This is one of the intake hoses, and as you can see, there's a lot of crud and gunk in there. These have a weird little clamp system, and you have to put a needle nose or a long, really long flat screwdriver down here to push this out, and then you can take, like, it's such a dumb system because there's no way you can get to any of these clamps. I wanted to give a little bit of attention to the method that I used to get this on this trolley, and it's actually a pretty ingenious solution. I just got this table cart from Harbor Freight, and I use a regular jack with a little hockey puck rubber mount right there just to keep the trans up, and this is actually a hydraulic table cart. So if I push this up, the engine goes up, and I can also lower it down a little bit right here, and just like, there we go. I can lower it down, and I can also move it around, which is great, which is exactly what I need. I was thinking maybe just to put it on some jack stands. A lot of people do that, but I needed to get this engine out. A lot of people, they just put the engine down and they fix it. This engine, I'm not sure what's gonna happen to it. Maybe I'll sell it, maybe it's going in the trash, maybe I'll turn it into a table. I'm actually not so sure that this engine has anything wrong with it mechanically. Everything around it, surrounding it, had a lot of, let's just say, minor to major faults. There's a lot of oil leaks and stuff that needs to get fixed, but I think the bones of this engine are still pretty good. So what I have to do right now, well, what I'm gonna do in the coming episodes on this car is I have to undress this engine. I have to take off the transmission. I have to make sure that all the seals are okay as far as the transmission and everything I'm gonna reuse. And then I'm gonna bring in the new engine, which is over there behind that car over there. And then I'm gonna have to put everything back on the engine. I'm gonna have to replace a lot of stuff on this car because when a car is in Russia, it doesn't really fare well for the car. Now, this body is galvanized, so it doesn't really rust, but these brackets and stuff, they do tend to rust, so I think I'm gonna use that sandblaster over there. And the good thing about it is I didn't need to take out the steering rack, so the steering's gonna be fine. I didn't need to take out any of the brake lines. The brake lines are fine. I just put a chain around there, so that's okay. And other than just being in a general state of disrepair and neglect, there's nothing really bad about this car. Now, there is a little dent right here. I'm gonna replace this intercooler, and I believe this is like $400, but whatever. This is gonna get replaced, and nothing else has been bashed or anything like that. That's probably from a fender bender, who knows. But man, I am so happy. So that's it. Sorry I didn't put out any videos earlier. It's just that I've been working on this thing nonstop. It really has been 4 days, and it's like 10-hour days just because I don't really know anything about working on this car. I know a lot more now, but
you know, School of Hard Knocks and all that. But I hope you guys join me along for the ride. It is going to be probably a little longer than I thought. But it's going to be just as fun when we get this thing on the road, because I think it should be pretty nice when it's done. So until next time, this is me reminding you guys that on cars like this that need so much work, but we're getting it done a day at a time, you guys need to wrench every day.